The movie begins with Cedo, a whale that has been captured and is now a main attraction at a park. Two workers are finishing their shift. They talk about Cedo, who recently lost one of her babies, and they believe the company caused it. One worker says she feels Cedo might know they took her baby. One worker leaves and the other goes to check on Cedo. She calls out to her,
Cedo, come on, baby.
but there is no response. She steps into the pool to look for her. Suddenly, Cedo starts swimming around her in circles. Out of nowhere, the whale attacks and kills her. Meanwhile, Maddie is working at a restaurant when her friend Chad walks in. He has just graduated, and she is surprised to see him. He tells her to lock the back door. Maddie asks if their friend Trish, who is about to start her PhD, was there, and if she was upset that Maddie couldn't come. Chad says he covered for her. He told Trish that Maddie was at home practicing the cello. Then he gives Maddie a gift to celebrate her graduation next week, a beautiful necklace, and puts it on her. Maddie is very happy and clearly likes him. They lean in to kiss, but suddenly a robber rushes in with a gun. Chad tries to protect her, but the robber pushes him aside and tells Maddie to put the money in the bag. She does, but then the robber notices her locket and demands she hand it over. Chad tries to stop him, but the robber points the gun at him. Maddie tells Chad to calm down and starts to take off the locket, but Chad won't allow it and lunges at the robber. They struggle over the gun, but the robber gets the upper hand and hits Chad with it. Maddie tries to stop him, and Chad also grabs for the gun. Suddenly, it fires right next to Maddie's ear, deafening her. Chad finally manages to take control of the gun and shoots the robber in the shoulder. The injured robber runs out of the shop. Chad chases after him and sees the locket has fallen. He picks it up and gives it back to Maddie, but suddenly the robber hits Chad with a car, leaving Maddie horrified. 1 year later, Maddie is getting ready to return to work. There's a knock at the door. It's her best friend, Trish. She says they're going on the vacation they've been planning for ages. Maddie is hesitant at first, but Trish says everything is already paid for, so she starts packing. Maddie finds old photos of her and Chad and remembers their time together. Trish comes in and comforts her. Maddie decides to go on the trip. Trish notices that Maddie's cello is covered in dust and a string is broken. She's quit playing. They arrive in Thailand for their vacation and enjoy time in the pool. Trish shows Maddie her new phone, which she bought with money she earned as an influencer, and shows her that it's waterproof. They go to the beach and Trish checks out a boy. While buying souvenirs, Trish buys a whale-shaped keychain, then reveals she booked tickets to see the whale. Cedo, apparently Maddie and Chad's favorite. They always talked about her, but Maddie isn't happy about it. Trish tries to convince her, but Maddie says she doesn't like seeing animals kept in captivity. Cedo should be in the open ocean, but the company keeps her trapped, and buying a ticket to her show only supports that. Trish apologizes and says she'll cancel the booking. On the beach, Maddie sees Trish flirting with a boy and goes over. Checking out the brochure for Cedo's show, the boy named Josh says the company that keeps Cedo captive is cruel. Trish agrees with him. Maddie points out that he's still advertising the show. Josh takes the brochure and tears it apart. Maddie sarcastically says that's a great way to hurt the company. Josh says if they really want to get back at them, they should come with him at night. Maddie is hesitant, but Trish is interested. That night, after partying, they sneak into the park, all heavily drunk. Josh leads them toward the pool and tells Maddie to go check out Cedo while he and Trish stay behind to fool around. Maddie stands in front of the enclosure, and after a while, Cedo comes to see her. Maddie is happy to see her. Outside, a cleaner is working in the park and tries to remove trash from the pool. Maddie talks to Cedo, feeling sad that she's trapped here. Suddenly, she hears a splash, and Cedo swims away. She turns around, and when she turns back, she sees a dead body. She runs. Outside, another guard also finds a body. Maddie finds Josh and Trish and tells them what she saw. Just then, a security guard spots them. They run as the guard chases them, but they manage to escape. The guard reports the cleaner's death to his boss, who orders him to get rid of Cedo. The next morning, Maddie wakes up on the beach. Josh and Trish say they have a surprise for her. Josh takes them on a jet ski to a secluded island. Maddie finds the beach beautiful and asks why it's so empty. Josh tells her something happened there long ago and the place became known as cursed. Trish is taking pictures. Josh asks if she's an influencer, and she says yes and will be until she finishes her PhD. Josh takes her phone and puts it on the jet ski, saying that's enough screen time for her. Trish asks Maddie for her own phone, which she's brought along sealed in a plastic bag to protect it from water. Josh asks Trish to go for a jet ski ride with him. Maddie rests on a floating mat while they ride. Suddenly, they hit something and fall into the water, and Trish loses Maddie's phone in the process. Maddie gets scared and starts looking for them. They swim up but can't figure out what happened. Maddie asks Trish to climb onto her floating mat. As Josh swims toward the jet ski and climbs on, a whale suddenly attacks him, throwing him back into the water. He tries to resurface, but something is pulling him down. He manages to come up, and the girls call him over. He's about to grab their hands when the whale pulls him under again. Horrified, they watch the water turn red with blood. Maddie says they need to get to land. They slowly start heading for the nearest rock, but the whale returns and sprays blood on them. Terrified, they keep trying to reach the rock. They're almost there when the whale pulls them back by a rope attached to the mat. Maddie pulls the rope out of the water. The whale circles them, and when it surfaces, its massive size terrifies them. Maddie says they need to swim to the rock once it passes by them, which gives them a head start. The whale swims toward them and passes underneath. Trish jumps off, but Maddie can't because her ears hurt from her hearing aid. She falls into the water but manages to climb back onto the mat. Trish swims toward the rock with the whale right behind her, but she just barely makes it. Maddie apologizes for not jumping with her. She throws her bag to Trish, who pulls it out of the water. Trish tells her she needs to jump the moment the whale resurfaces. Suddenly, the whale pulls the rope and deflates the floating mat. Maddie jumps and swims toward the rock. As she tries to climb it, she steps on a sea urchin. But with Trish's help, she manages to climb up just before the whale can catch her. They hug, and Maddie notices Trish has cut her leg badly. She takes off her jacket, and they cut it in half so Maddie can wrap it around the wound. Trish also notices a cut on Maddie's leg, and bandages it with the rest of the jacket. Maddie realizes the whale is actually Cedo and wonders what she's doing here. Maybe the company dumped her in the ocean, but she's confused why Cedo would attack them, since whales usually only attack people when they're kept in captivity. The only explanation is that Cedo still believes she's a captive. They check their bag for anything useful and find gum, which they share since it's the only food they have. Maddie tells Trish she lost her hearing aid's backup battery in the water. Trish remembers Maddie's plastic bag. They can use it to collect water from the air, but it will take 4 to 6 hours. They scream for help, but no one is around. They lie down on the rock, and after a few hours, they hear a boat. They scream and wave, trying to get its attention, but it can't hear them and disappears over the horizon. Cedo is still circling them. Maddie says she understands her pain. They've been trapped here for hours and it's starting to feel unbearable. Cedo was trapped for years. That's why she hates humans. Suddenly, they spot Josh's severed hand. Maddie tries to grab the flashlight from it while Trish holds onto her, and she manages to get hold of it. They use the flashlight all night to try to get someone's attention, but with no luck. The next morning, Trish says she needs to tell Maddie something, but Maddie notices water has collected in their plastic bag. She drinks some and gives the rest to Trish, then asks what Trish wanted to say. Trish hesitates, then asks why Maddie stopped playing cello. Maddie says she couldn't continue after Chad's death. Trish says it's not too late. She could go back to school and resume her studies. Maddie says maybe. Trish says she's always been there for her, which is why she wanted to take her on this trip after paying off all of her placement debt. She never meant for any of this to happen. Maddie holds her hand and says they'll get through it. She then asks how Trish paid off her debt, and Trish reveals she paid it with money she earned as an influencer. Maddie says she's very proud of her. Trish says she's starving, so they should try to catch a fish. Maddie says she has a better idea. The creature that cut them the day before might be edible. Maddie goes underwater while Trish holds her leg, and she manages to grab it, though she slips and falls into the water first. She climbs back onto the rock with the sea urchin just before Cedo can attack. Trish asks if she's okay. She's fine and shows her the urchin. They try to break it open but can't. Maddie takes out Chad's cremation box. Trish tells her not to use it, but she breaks it open and uses the cover to crack the urchin open. They eat it together and Maddie gives the cover back to Trish. Maddie says it's probably time to let Chad go. Holding the stone, she says she loves him so much and wishes she could have told him in person. After kissing it, she throws it into the water. Trish says she only wanted to make things better, but ended up making them worse. Maddie comforts her, saying there was no way she could have known they'd end up stranded here together, but Trish says she isn't really her best friend. Confused, Maddie listens as Trish reveals she needed money to pay off her placement debt. She wasn't supposed to be at the restaurant that night. Chad had told Maddie she was home practicing cello because the robber was actually one of Trish's coworkers, and they were supposed to split the money. He'd left her a voicemail before going in, but she never got it in time. He wasn't supposed to bring a gun, but he did. And that's how the accident happened. That's why she left Maddie when she needed her most. Shocked, Maddie starts to cry. Trish tries to comfort her, but Maddie is furious. Trish says she wishes she had taken the call that day, but Maddie says Trish took Chad from her and deserves every bit of the guilt she feels. Trish keeps apologizing, but Maddie removes her hearing aid so she won't have to hear her. Maddie falls asleep and dreams about her time with Chad and his death, then suddenly wakes up. Trish asks if she's okay, but Maddie is still angry with her. Trish says she'll make it right and comes up with a plan. Maddie should swim to the nearest rock while Trish swims for the beach. Cedo might get confused and not attack either of them. Trish heads into the water, but Maddie can't hear her since she's removed her hearing aid. When Maddie realizes Trish is in the water, she puts her hearing aid back in and calls for her to come back, but Trish says she's going to make things right. Maddie says it's fine, she's not mad anymore, and tells her to swim back. When she sees Cedo approaching, she warns Trish to hurry as the whale swims after her. To distract Cedo, Maddie jumps into the water, and the whale changes direction toward her. She climbs onto the nearest rock just before Cedo can reach her. Trish also makes it to the beach and is relieved to see Maddie reach the rock safely. Suddenly, they hear a plane overhead and scream for help. Trish writes SOS in the sand, but the plane flies away. Maddie notices the tide is pulling Trish back into the water, with the whale closing in. She tries to warn her, but Trish is too busy trying to signal the plane. Cedo reaches the shore and grabs Trish by the leg. Trish fights to get back to shore, but Cedo drags her into the water. Maddie, thinking she's lost her friend, watches in despair, but Trish crawls back onto the beach, having lost a lot of blood after the whale tore off her leg, and dies on the sand. Maddie cries, devastated by the loss of her friend. Night falls, and Maddie keeps using the flashlight to send a signal. Her hearing aid runs out of of battery, and soon the flashlight does too. She sees lightning in the sky, and it starts to rain. She's relieved, since now she has water to drink. She sees Cito come out of the water, watching her. She says she understands that Cito is also trapped, like her, and that at least she fought back. That's how she got the scar on her face. When Maddie sees Trish's body, she decides to go to her. She swims to a rock near the beach, reaches her and cries. Then she buries Trish in the sand. She remembers that Trish's phone is waterproof and that Josh left it on the jet ski. Maddie sees the jet ski underwater, dives down, takes the bag, and comes back up. Inside, she finds the phone, but it is broken. She tries to call for help, but the phone dies before the call can go through. She then sees a life jacket floating nearby and grabs it. Soon, Cheeto starts circling her again. Maddie dives underwater to look for something she can use. She hides under the jet ski as Cheeto comes closer. After the whale leaves, Maddie finds Trish's broken hairpin and tries to use it as a weapon, but her necklace gets stuck on a rock. As Cheeto comes back, she cannot free it in time. In the end, she lets the necklace go and takes the pin. When Cheeto gets close, Maddie stabs the whale with the pin. Hurt, Cheeto swims away with the danger gone. Maddie comes back to the surface and holds onto the life jacket to stay afloat. As the sun rises, she hears a rescue helicopter. They pull her out of the water and save her. Later, Maddie starts playing the cello again. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.